Guys, it's Sasha, of course, Sasha the Princess of Darkness, your first and only transgender horror hostess with the mostest and a little bit extra. And as usual, we got one of our regular colleagues here, Reverend Godfather himself, Christopher Lumser, on the show. Christopher, introduce yourself while I finish plugging in and putting stuff away.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Lumser, the Reverend, a.k.a. the Reverend Godfather from Long Coat Mafia Podcast. And Long Coat Mafia Podcast is found wherever podcasts are usually distributed, a.k.a. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Yes, my show has a YouTube channel here. We're currently standing at 48 subscribers, and we're on the hunt for hitting that 100 subscriber goal. That way we can change our URL to a custom URL. Just search for the Long Coat Mafia Podcast here on YouTube. And yes, eventually I'll get off my lazy ass and post up some new videos I have to put together. So that being said, Sasha's being a bad influence because it took her a year to post up a video. So I blame her.
Hey, COVID and everything else, my friend. And I've been working on stuff, I just haven't been busy. In fact, I was on your show more often than my own last year between you, Rocky, and the Scene Snobs. And now it seems that you, Rocky, and the Scene Snobs are all taking a break. And I'm like, well, someone's got to fill the void, so might as well be me. So, a couple topics we want to get into today. We kind of touched on some of this last week. But the Waynesboro Comic-Con. And goodness, you should see me cringe as soon as I say the word Waynesboro Comic-Con, because you know why you know why I'm cringing. Because what is the problem with using the phrase Comic-Con or Comic-Con or any variation therein, Chris?
It is the basically the basic form. Unless you are a non-profit like a library, a lot of people have went back and forth with the owners, so-called quote-unquote owners of the word Comic-Con or Comic-Con, and that is the people who put on the San Diego Comic-Con, who are, personally, I believe, full of fucking shit, those pompous fucks, because that's what they are. They made their name for themselves, and they decided that what they are is, I can understand if their name would be protected, i.e. San Diego Comic-Con, but they decided, no, let's be pompous motherfuckers and proclaim Comic-Con. And they go after any convention that uses the phrase Comic-Con as their title, despite the fact that's what they might be, a strictly comic convention. Now, if, like Baltimore, they don't use the phrase Comic-Con, they use Comic-Con. They use the full write-out. And since San Diego hasn't touched Baltimore, or they haven't touched, because New York uses the same type of format, New York Comic-Con. And since obviously New York and Baltimore don't use the whole phrase Comic-Con, they're safe. But again, San Diego, people behind San Diego have to be dicks, not just any dicks, California dicks and douchebags. And they go after, again, they went after, I think, a convention out in like Nevada or Wyoming or some shit like that, or it might have been in California itself, saying, "Oh no, we own the phrase Comic-Con," and they won because, well, San Diego makes millions of dollars a year. They could stall, they could hem, they could afford the big name lawyers, and they set precedents that they own the shit. So that's my personal opinion on that fucking ass fucks.
And it's interesting because they, too, consider themselves a non-profit. I was looking into this, and I'm sitting there like, how are they a non-profit if they generate profit? And that's something else, too, that a lot of people think that will protect them, is having a 401c3 or a non-profit status. Even that's not going to protect you unless you're basically a library. If you're like a downtown...
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's one thing if you're a library,
mm-hmm.
and it I could understand that. And even San Diego's like, if they find out a local library is using the name Comic-Con, they go after them, but they like, oh yeah, well you can't really use it, but we'll let you use it under the 501c license because you're a library. It's a way of them being assholes without actually being total cunts.
Yep. And that's the thing, because a lot of people, and this is why I kind of roll my eyes at Main Street Waynesboro, they think that getting a 401c3 is going to protect them. And I've even explained, no, it's not. And what's so funny is that they tried to use the excuse of the Harry Potter Fest that they used to put on, haven't for the last 2 years, obviously, because of COVID, and the year before. But wanted to use that when I brought up, hey, well, even if you get a 401c3 status, it's not going to protect you. Well, we put on a Harry Potter convention, and we didn't do anything until after we've gotten the cease and desist letter from Warner Brothers. And I'm like, by the time you get a cease and desist, you're already screwed. You have people at the event. You're selling T-shirts. You are making things worse. And it's one of the reasons why they haven't done it in the last 2 years, because they have to rebrand. They have to rethink it, and COVID. And I'm like, your argument proves my point and not yours as to why it's important to go about this the right way. So me being me, I threw him a couple ideas. I'm like, hey, Warner's is a big pusher for this that sells soda pop, ice cream, candy, and they're also retro. So I know Matt Burns isn't using it at the moment, but what about Retro PopCon, or, PopCon, right, or something of that nature? Well, I think that's kind of lame. And I'm like, well, them using that old-ass building and everything is kind of lame, too. And
I don't mean to interrupt, but that's the aspect of the thing. And that's a lot of people don't realize in regards to the 501c. I did look into it a little bit, and there is so much regulations behind it and so many rules that I was, like a good many years ago, I was part of a Mac users group out of Hagerstown for a little while. And they were saying, it's like, because the question was brought up, why don't you guys become a 501c, nonprofit? And they said, well, one, we don't have the members for it. Two, even if we did, we don't make enough money for it. It doesn't qualify. And it's like, when I've gotten the same thing asked to me in regards to my show. It's like, why don't you register as, 501c? I'm like, I can't. One, I don't bring in any money, period. I put more into it than I take in. And number two, there's not enough people involved to qualify for 501c. And at that particular time, a 501c, there were regulations in regards to talking about anything political. It's like, what if I touch on something political? I lose the 501c because I want to talk about something that might be remotely considered political. So I'm better off not having it or not gunning for it. So.
But yeah, even if you get it, there isn't a whole lot of protections with it. And a lot of people don't realize that because at the end of the day, I had ran and tried to get Pride started in Chambersburg. I'm glad other people took it over because now that's their problem. I used to throw a shit fit about it. Now I'm kind of like, I ain't got to deal with that headache anymore. I can run my support groups, do my grassroots stuff. Ain't got to worry about jumping through hoops. Ain't got to charge people for stuff. I can just do my thing and help people, which is what I wanted to do all along. But I just find it funny that they took a good thing and corrupted it. But hey, they have those problems now. Where basically they have to charge people $25 to $50 for good seats at a Pride event, which I think is ridiculous. Oh, you want to sit in the shade? That's $20 or $50. Insane. But I get all the headaches that go with it because I tried to do the 401c3 so I don't have to get insurance for events and things of that nature. And I found out that doesn't protect you against diddly squat. You still got to pay for the event insurance. You still got to pay for all of that. Yes, there's places you can go to get discounts, but not all of those places are going to work with you. And then you run into problems with the town because once you're a 401c3, everybody wants involved, and they're all going to have their feedbacks. And sadly, the Waynesboro Con is experiencing that right now. I guess it's called Main Street Borough Con or whatever they want to call it. Comic-Con. And I'm, of course, cringing the whole time. So I'm like, oh, I'm having flashbacks from when I did Pride in Chambersburg. Oh, my God. Because they're just waiting and literally told me, oh, well, we'll just wait until we get a cease and desist. And I'm like, do you really want to get a cease and desist? Because the event's in less than a week, 2 weeks now. You know what I mean? Less than 2 weeks. And, yeah, to me, it's like, that's ridiculous. And then that logo, did you see that new logo? I'm so sick of that building.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's like, as I said in our last live stream, even though they changed the logo, I was like, really? Really? And, seeing in regards to the person that, did the logo and all that, like...
Ashley.
Again, really? Yeah, it's like, you already did George,
You already did George dirty.
Like this. I love him as a friend. But it's like, why do you keep doing George dirty? You had him there. You had him do a lot of work, and you're continuing to do him dirty. Jeez.
Yeah, and it's like...
And I bring up George with all due respect.
We love George.
It's...
George is a great contributor. If you haven't checked him out, he now got his official YouTube channel. It has his name in it. So it actually does say youtube.com/PND Studios, which is awesome. I was one of those grandmothered in, because I was with YouTube for a while, where it's, Sasha the Princess of Darkness, but I got that C in the middle, which is kind of cool, which stands for channel. But yeah, you have to hit so many subscribers to get like an officially branded URL. My goal is to get you there at some point, Chris. I really do. I want to get there so it says youtube.com/Longcoat Mafia Podcast. That is one of my goals by the end of the year. It needs to happen. Or the most hated podcast. So we'll see.
Hey, I try. I'm happy that I got my business cards in. I got my handouts ready and everything else all ready to go. Just got to be put together and just put in the bin and ready to rock and roll day of. And it's just with everything and even today, because a lot of the folks that might follow my show know that I kind of paired up. I won't say paired, but they're kind of what I call they're a non-sponsor sponsor, which means they don't pay me to be at the location, or they just say, hey, when I ask, hey, can I do something here? Can I record here? Or, can I work with you or something? They say yes. If they say no, no issues. No skin off my back. And it's Engage here in downtown Martinsburg. I do recommend checking them out. They don't pay me to say that. The owner's a good guy. And he wants to set up... did you send me a message? No. Oh, really? Oh, my sister wants to be an ass later. Okay. I told him pretty much what I asked him. It's like, did Whitney contact you? Because Whitney contacted us, Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday night? With the current shit show that's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, it's like, yeah, just to let you know, and I filled him in what Whitney filled in with us. And he was like, really? I'm not going to do that. Not for one day. It's not going to be worth my while to do that.
Yep.
So you're going to have a few rogue people not doing what Whitney pretty much told us.
Oh, yeah.
Not for one day.
Oh, yeah. And I know that. And that's what scares me, because George wants me to sell for his booth. And I'm like, make sure you have that paperwork, because it's Waynesboro. And they've already made it 100% clear that I am numero uno target trans person. That's why we got that message that they want to really get at. It's one of the reasons why I didn't get a formal invite to the horror con. Oh, I'm still going. They can either have me as, an official horror hostess there, or I'm going in guerrilla tactics, whichever needs to be done, because that's just how I roll. I asked. So I approached the appropriate people. In fact, there's even a comment on their post about the horror con in July that, hey, I'm a local horror hostess. let me in, or I'm showing up guerrilla style, because that's just how I roll. Hopefully they'll be civil, but yeah, they usually cringe, because I'll be honest with you, I've tried to get cons started down in Waynesboro before. I tried to get Pride started down there before. I told you a little bit as to what's going on for them in June, where Whitney and the Soda Shop trying to set up a June event to not only celebrate their year anniversary, but to promote diversity and acceptance in Waynesboro. They had approval for months, and then when the council figured out what they were going to do, they stuck a car show on top of it. Just to be dicks, even though they approved it. And I'm like, that's just how they roll. I said, what you do is you play that against them. Oh, they're going to have a car show? You put on a retro pinup show. But promote it where it's encouraging diversity. You can have min-ups, you can have what have you. And so hopefully they follow my advice.
I told you, and I filled in through George's preview show, because folks at home, I was on George's current episode on his channel. Again, check out his channel, show him some love, and did the pre-show just to let him know what was going on, what my plans were. And because, as I told you, and I told my co-host, my buddy, that in regards to April 10th event, I have a backup plan. And I don't want to put it in motion, but it's there. And he completely understood, because of everything being a shit show and how it's turning out. I don't want it to be a shit show. I hope it's not a shit show. At most, part of the title I'm thinking of for the April 10th episode, or the one that's going to be airing the weekend after, or say the week after the event, is going to be all about the Waynesboro. It's going to involve, like, the wheels on the bus go round and round, all about the Waynesboro event. And I won't feel bad tossing people under the bus, literally. And it's like, I'm not going to be tossing these people under the bus because they've been cool. They've tried to keep the peace. But there are other people that, need to be tossed on the bus because of how, they treated everything, how everything went down. And even the folks that engaged, when I told them, it's like, hey, if I got to go nope out, I'll nope out,
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I'm just letting you know. It's like, I completely understand. It's like, because I'll let him know about the event. And it's like, it's no skin off my back. I know you want to do it because it's, promotion for you, and you're just setting up for the day. And he's in the same boat, a similar boat to not I'm in, because the Roundhouse by me, you know where it is.
Yeah, I've been there.
The folks that are now running it are cool people. I pretty much got carte blanche for the Roundhouse. Meaning they've loved what I've done there. They've loved, the show work I've done for them.
Of course.
It wasn't a paid gig. It's like, hey, we're at, this particular event at the Roundhouse. We're just going to do a walk, like I do, like, for Forest State and the rest of them. They loved it. And they're like, dude, we want you to keep coming back and doing what you do. Because it allows us, if we can't show up to an event, it allows us in some way to be at that event and see what's going on and seeing how it's being handled. So that's why I have, like, carte blanche, going there, taking pictures and covering it. And they said, if anything, it's like, if you can't afford the fee, just, tell them that you're working for us. I'm like, cool, but I don't mind paying my way in.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that level of carte blanche. I think that's cool. And it's that sort of event. It's like, if I got to say nope out and, hit up, an event that's being held at the Roundhouse for the weekend, or heading down to Winchester, I'll do that. It's like, I'll spend like $5-10.
Oh yeah. And that's how I feel about the HorrorCon, because I know it's Main Street Waynesboro putting that on. I think it's called Shockfest.
Awesome logo, by the way. Glad it's not that stupid fucking building. I hate that building. It's like the same problem we have in Chambersburg, probably the same problem in every small town. They want to use some historic landmark as part of their logo for everything. And it's like, oh, this just screams cis old white money all day long that doesn't understand the events that they're putting on. I get that downtown is your focus, but I don't know. Do you know my friend Jean-Paul Checkett out of Carlisle? By chance, Chris?
I don't know.
He puts on a horror show in downtown. Now, granted, pre-COVID, we're still waiting to see what they're going to do to bring a horror show back afterwards. But it was a free show at the local retro shop that sells like retroware stuff from like the 40s and the 50s and things of that nature. So it's intriguing. So he has like a free where you go in and can watch a free movie, 100% for free. And basically, the show is he's a professor, believe it or not. He's a professor, so he calls himself the professor of horror, but he's more steeped in psychology and other stuff. And he'll have a discussion about the film he's putting on. And a lot of times it is very big pop culture. Like we recently watched They Live. We watched Zombieland. We watched Trick or Treat. Not the Gene Simmons one, but the anthology one. And then he analyzed each part of it, before and after the show. And there's always a conversation. And he gets a good turnout. Is it humongous? No. But you figure Carlisle is a college town. So you have that going on a given weekend. The theater has a battle of the bands. Like a battle of the punk bands going on. And it's awesome. Hey, Mick, you didn't have to pop in. You got kids and all. Totally understand, but appreciate it. Thank you for the assist. But play Godzilla with your kids, because Godzilla's important. Right, Chris? You gotta have Godzilla and dinosaur time.
Right.
So, appreciate the assist.
We're happy to have you, Nick. If you want to stay, that's fine. If you want to, enjoy life with your kids, that's fine. Fine by us, too. We're happy to have you.
Mm-hmm. But kids first. Because they need Godzilla and Legos and dinosaurs. First. Then you need beer. Beer also good.
And if you want to get bearded up, come join us actually on the show. We'll be more than happy to have you on the show, too. It wouldn't be the first time we've been buzzed on the show.
Nope, would not. But yeah, we're always glad to have people join us. It always sounds so horrible and ominous when I'm like, join us. I need that sound bite, because I found out the other day, by doing this through the PlayStation app, I can play sound bites. And I'm like, ooh. So I need that Evil Dead sound bite. Join us.
Oh, if I had more room, I'd have my L8 set up with a whole mass of sound bites attached to it with what I can. I'd load it up. I'd do everything I need to have sound bites. I might even do a minute.
Minute. Yeah, we need minute. That's our thing. It was on my show first, so minute. I think you were trying to say in a minute, and it became minute. So yes, and we need to find a new picture for basically for basically more memes, because that Ghostbuster one is awesome, but we need another one. So goals. Nick, the floating picture is basically because I'm on PlayStation Network, so I can throw a picture up like that. Let me resync my screen. But I just wanted to show basically that, hey, this is what Chris looks like, and there's me and my Ghostbusters getup. And then I'll throw up his logo on occasion. But right now I have the app disconnected. And that app was what I was just talking about, upside of PlayStation 4. Hopefully PlayStation 4 is supported well into PlayStation 5 life. But I don't know. You know how that goes. New system. It's just one of those things. Oh, hold on. I got a message from Con. Alright, I'm going to hold off on that. For a second. But yeah, because I basically expressed interest saying, hey, you know, you need a horror host. Everybody needs a horror host. I mean, I can talk to my boy, Mr. Lobo, but, you know, come on, it's my territory. It's my stomping grounds. I'm the horror hostess here. I don't mind bringing other people in, but let me have this. Mr. Lobo.
Speaking of Mr. Lobo, he seems like such a great guy.
He actually, when he heard that what I was doing, and I don't fangirl. It's just one of those things. I treat people like people. It's like the first time I met Rob Zombie at the 930 Club. Complete accident. Don't ask what we were doing outside in the parking lot. But he comes up and is like, oh, what are you all doing? And we're just passing stuff around. And, yeah, Zombie shows up, has what we're having. We don't even know it's him yet. He's like, you guys want to come back to the bus and hang out until the show? And, of course, we were just amazed. You know, because I treat people like people, you know. I don't feel that somebody should be treated differently than another person on the street. So, of course, he approaches me. He's like, hey, you know, it's really cool what you're doing. You're putting representation out there with horror, and, you know, you're not in your face about what and who you are. You're more in your face about, hey, I love horror, and da-da-da-da-da, where people come away, and yeah, I'm still Sasha the trans woman, but I'm Sasha who knows her shit about horror. You know, I'll always be Sasha the trans woman, but it's Sasha the Princess of Darkness people come to see. And to me, that means the world. And yes, I've been playing with Nick Valentine way too much in Fallout 4. Before anybody says it. Scents are my favorite characters, what can I say? I may be synthetic, but I'm not stupid. I think a lot of that could be related into the trans community. But no, like, Mr. Lobo had approached me and just gave me some words of encouragement, and everybody starts small, and he's like, think about what I did. I didn't have the internet at the time, you know, it was the early days of the internet. I'm like, well, that's cool. You know, and that's just how I roll. I meet people, and I don't fangirl, but when it comes to this show, I could definitely get some people to show up. I could talk to Monique. I could talk to a few other of my friends, maybe George Hardy, see if they'll come down. You know who I mean by...
like I said, part of me, it's like, when it comes to Mr. Lobo, part of me, it's like, there's a little bit of me that wants to, you know, have that goal of having someone on his level part of my show. And there's a part of me that's like, nah, he'll never come on my little rinky-dink, pissant little fucking show. Nothing against him. It's like, he's a little bit out of my league. So...
Yeah, just ask. You never know. You never know until you ask.
Let's put it like this, folks. Mr. Lobo's been on national radio programs before, so it's like, yeah, that's why I'm a little bit... I'm not saying I'm intimidated by him, but it's trying to go from a minor league team to a major league team. It's like, I'm stretching here. I don't want to punch up that hard.
Yep.
It's that little high-level things with regards to Mr. Lobo.
If you treat people like people, they'll treat you the same way. You know? If you just walk up to, like, you know, movie stars and whatnot. Michael Gross, for example. Michael Gross is in this area a good bit. You know, for those of you who don't know Michael Gross, number one, where have you been for 80s TV? And Burt frickin' Gummer. You know, and that's all I gotta say. Burt Gummer. And I remember going out to a restaurant. Al was with me at the time. And we're eating. And Michael Gross walks by. I'm like, hey, Mike, what's up? He's like, hey, how's it going? So did you see the latest one? And of course, by then that was Cold Day in Hell that came out. And I'm like, yeah, I saw more of you than what I wanted to. Thanks, Michael. He's like, but you at least saw it. The Proton Pack is actually a base pack from Spirit Halloween, and I added the A-frame. It had some battle damage recently, so I had to fix that up a little bit, but I'm slowly adding to it, because my philosophy of, you know, of basically cosplay of any type is you're never done with it. And that's the same with any project out there. I'm not trying to George Lucas things, but I'm saying you're never done with a project. You keep adding to it. The next thing I want to get is, now that I'm working again, is the J1 hook. So it just doesn't pop in on the side. It actually can slide in and out, where I have the magnet system, where it just magnetizes and the neutrino wand stands there. And yes, I know all the parts, unfortunately, because I'm such a nerd when it comes to Ghostbusters. And that is a perfect segue to talk about Ecto Cooler. Ecto Cooler, basically, we know every time that there's a new Ghostbuster movie, there's always that chance of 1 in a million to get new Ecto Cooler. And I think a while back there was like somebody...
Okay, what happened?
What do you mean what happened?
Oh, it sounded like, you went quiet. I'm like, all right, what happened?
Oh, am I still here? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're still here.
Okay.
I hear you.
Okay. So basically with Ecto Cooler, what happened is every year that we get a new Ghostbusters movie, like 2016, yes, that movie was horrible, but we did get a reissue of Ecto Cooler from High C. Sadly, it only lasted as long as the movie. What I thought was interesting was, even though Ghostbusters 2016 did terribly, all of the merchandise around it, except for the stuff that was directly related to the remake, did exceptionally well. Like, the original movies sold well. The action figures based on the original film did well. The Ecto Cooler did well. But it all kind of dropped off once everybody realized that 2016 was a bomb. So as a result, we still got cool stuff out of it. So yes, hate on 2016 all you want. I still got my Ecto Cooler, and that's what matters. Afterlife is promising to be a big, draw. Because it does seem like they're bringing back the original cast. It was recently announced that Rick Moranis is going to be in it, which shocked a lot of people because there for a while he wasn't, but now he's back. Thank you, Ryan Reynolds, for bringing him on your commercial to officially announce that he's back into acting. He did that through Mint Mobile, and I just thought that was such a cute commercial. No, I just wanted you on a commercial, just so we could have something to say, hey, we're back, he's back. But speaking of Ecto Cooler, it was announced back before when we were supposed to get Afterlife last year that there would be new Ecto Cooler. Supposed to be 3 flavors. The original, a berry one, and I'm trying to think what the third one was. But there was supposedly a third flavor. Well, it came out, obviously, that was a fake. But there is no word, like Coca-Cola, who owns High C, is mum about what, if any, promo here in July that we get with Ghostbusters Afterlife, because they are still aiming for a July release of this year, because they're like, hey, it's going to be the summer, drive-ins are back, movie theaters still have limited showing, worst case we can stream it somewhere, because Disney and whatnot's doing
Sasha, I'm going to have to step away for
get your
a minute or two. I'll be back in maybe about 10 minutes tops.
Okay, cool.
So.
But, no, they had announced that, hey, the movie's coming out, and it's definitely set for a 2021 release. I'm ecstatic. I'm assuming probably for the 4th of July weekend. But the problem of it is now we're kind of up in the air if we're getting new Ecto Cooler or not. To me, I would really love to see new Ecto Cooler, because Ecto Cooler is the jam. I miss that flavor. Yes, I know it's just mandarin orange, but in a green Slimer package. But it's good stuff. A lot of people compare it to the Lava Burst Orange or the Lava Burst Mandarin Orange. I can't remember which one it is. But I'm hoping that we get basically, new Ecto Cooler. So hopefully that happens. Kind of disappointed, though, that the announcement was a fake. That they basically faked the flavors and it was a fake ad from Coca-Cola. So disappointing. So, sorry, just responding to... Just responding to some things. Curtis, what's the oh boy about? Let's be appropriate. Let's keep comments decent. Otherwise, we will ban and restrict you. Zero tolerance today. I ain't got the energy for it. But, yeah, no, the Proton Pack is basically a Spirit 1 mic that, the best way I can put it, was, you get this as is. Pretty much what you see here is what you get, aside from the A-frame. The A-frame I got from Military Surplus, pretty much the same thing they use in the movies. I still need to get, like, a greenish, like that dark military drab green piece of, like, a fun noodle or something and put up at the top, because that's the next big step. Definitely some black cable ties, so I can get rid of the white ones I have in here now. I want to upgrade this cable to a bigger ribbon cable, because this one's way too small. I need either a dowel rod or a piece of dowel rod painted gold to hang down here. It's interesting because there's like a slot here for it, like a little hole, but they just don't have that piece. And it's a project. Like, this is something that I plan on building more of to go along with, my Ghostbusters cosplay, because that is just basically, what I like to do. I love to do Ghostbuster cosplay whenever I'm out and about at conventions, and obviously when Afterlife launches and comes out, I'm going to be all over that. So, yeah, don't mind me, I'm scrolling through messages, because people are messaging me while I'm trying to do show stuff. It's never simple to multitask. In fact, I'm going to close out of this app real quick. So if anything changes, that's what's up. But thank you for the comments, and thank you for participating. And Nick, thank you for joining us. Again, you do need to seriously take a break from podcasts, things of that nature. It'll be there waiting for you when you get back, I promise. And we will hold down the fort until you get back. I also promise. If you need help or people to do shows or anything of that nature, because that is what we do. That is how we roll. Because, hey, we're family. We're a fucked up family, but we're still family. So, and we watch out for each other, because that's how podcasters work. And honorary since Mick, you are now part of Fallout Shelter Productions, regardless of if you like it or not. We Shanghai people and recruit them. It's just what we do. So anyways, I'm just popping back into this chat. And we only got one person, so it's probably just Mick hanging out at the moment. So I'm just trying to find the logo for these people so they can know I'm a legit horror hostess on YouTube and things of that nature. Because I am definitely down to help. Chris is receiving a package. Not sure you didn't hear me say that. I did not say that. Though funny. Hilarious nonetheless once he gets back. Y'all can tell him that in the comments. She said you were picking up a shipment of dildos. But yeah. Oh, that's just repeating itself. What'd you do, Mick? Did you zap him? I don't see him on here. Did he get worse than what he was, or what happened? Well, he gets back, Chris gets back, and of course Chris is from the Longcoat Mafia podcast, the most hated podcast in West by God, Virginia, as well as the internet. He's a frequent contributor to our show. I'm just going to make him an honorary member of Fallout Shelter Productions. Again, we're a very Shanghai crew here, hence the Fallout Shelter sign. I got the image reversed on my screen, so such is life. But yeah, and EM is right there, just chilling. I'm sorry he hasn't been on any videos lately, but maybe for the Predator franchise reviews, which are getting ready to drop here soon, I am hoping. So we'll see. We'll see. So we got 3 viewers now. I had 5, go to 3, go up to 4, go up to 6. Who are our viewers now? If you have any questions or want to contribute to the conversation, we will certainly do so. One of the big things I do want to touch on is Peeps Pepsi. Don't know if you're familiar with the Easter candy, because Easter is this weekend, in case you didn't get the memo. If you want, I can throw on the bunny ears to make it official. But Easter is this weekend, so Pepsi has put out a product that apparently is a marshmallow-flavored cola. I've been looking around. I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's online exclusive. It might be. Have you seen it in your area? If not, who has? Let me know where you're seeing it, or if you've seen it, or anything of that nature, because I want to try it. I just tried the new Watermelon Mountain Dew, and it's pretty good. I think it's Sarge Melon, or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Really good stuff. If you see it in your local grocery store, grab it, try it out. The Frostbite with the shark on it that you can get from Walmart is really good as well. So definitely worth checking out. So, yeah. If you guys have not checked it out. So, top chat. We have got nobody. It is a dead room. So, but yeah. I am ecstatic to be on tonight. Just got a new job, so Monday podcasts might be out for a little bit. But we'll try to reschedule. We'll try to do stuff on Sundays moving forward. So hopefully that helps out, and we'll see how that goes. Just remember, I forgot to share with the OnlyFans people that I am live streaming. So let's do that while we're chit-chatting. And if you didn't know, I do have an OnlyFans. It's Sasha, Princess of Darkness. I also have basically a Spreadshirt, which you just search for Sasha, the Princess of Darkness. There's a whole shop if you want to help support the show and things of that nature. And Chris is coming back to the microphone, so I can stop rambling like a loon. Thank you for coming back, Chris. Did you get your package of dildos? Because he's not on the mic just yet. I may have to call him. I don't know. It says we're still live with each other, so he'll be back on the mic in a second. But yes, he'll be back here in a second. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I think I just heard a bloop. That might be him. Don't know. Has anybody checked out the new Alien comic series that Marvel has put out? I'm just wondering if it's part of Marvel canon. I think it's going to be its own separate things. You got one of those. We call those fleshlights. But yeah. It is interesting that now Alien is with Marvel Continuity. Predator's supposed to be showing up. They've done a couple comics covers to celebrate that Predator is part of Marvel. I have an issue in my box. I definitely need to see that and check it out. I hope it's like or more along the lines of the old Dark Horse comics, the original run before things got screwy. So hopefully. Is that you back? I hear a noise. I hear something. I hear rustling. I'm just going down through top news at the moment.
Here you all. I'm back, baby.
Yep. He's got his package. So we had just touched on Ecto Cooler and touched on Peeps Pepsi a little bit. Again, the whole image of Ecto Cooler that was released online last year wound up being a hoax. And Coca-Cola is still mum on if they're doing Ecto Cooler. Hopefully they do. I think they sold enough in 2016 to justify doing another run. What do you think, Chris?
I know back in 2016 I bought a few little juice box versions of Vecto. I enjoyed it. So, will I possibly... Okay. Mini Big C, or Bite Size is playing Fortnite, so we do that.
Fortnite?
Yeah, in regards to my co-host, since he's called Big Candy, since he's Big Candy or King Size, his missus is regular size, and the kid is bite size. So.
So the kid's playing.
Yeah. If it's a Fortnite, good chance it's the kid.
Well, that's cool.
Happy usually plays either Minecraft or the soccer one, the remote control car soccer thingy.
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. We play that on occasion.
But you know what I'm talking about. I know what it is. The name is like out of my skull right now.
I had deleted it on my hard drive before I replaced it with one of those external ones, and I caught the devil from my son for doing that. So, Mama Sasha, you deleted that? That game is fun. I'm like, I'm bringing it back. I just need to get a mini hard drive to attach. And I did. And it's back. So we didn't really lose anything. And I'm like, it's not like, you had any stats or any super fancy cars that were missing that we can't re-download. You know what I mean? I mean, there has been stuff like that.
So I'm not worried about getting all the special cars or that shit. I'll fiddle with it. I picked it up strictly because, I knew he played. I knew there was like a couple other folks on my friends list that played. I figured, I'm also, check it out for fits and giggles to see what's what, who's who, and all that fun jazz. And so on occasion, I hop in. But did I pick up Fortnite? Yeah, I picked it up, but I played it like once or twice, and I was like, you know what? I'm coming in like dead last because as soon as I dropped, I get sniped, so screw this, But I have it. So, but
my suggestion,
other stuff like...
because I desperately need footage for my Predator franchise review. If you do find it super cheap at some point, please, oh please, pick up, what's it called? Predator something Hunt. And basically
I think I know what you're talking about.
But basically you can either play as the Predator or you can be part of like a 5-man squad to basically get hunted by the Predator, but you have to, as the 5-man squad, have to take out like terrorists and whatnot. But you can be the Predator up in the tree sniping everybody.
I know I picked up during the holiday season. Xbox Live had Friday the 13th. The game that was out that you could play as like Jason or a camper.
Mm-hmm.
For like $5. I was like, hell yeah, I'd buy it for $5.
Oh yeah, it's a great game. You should get it for PS.
Like, hell yeah, I'll buy it.
PS4, we can play. Have it on multi-platform. Why not? Oh, what platform are you playing Fortnite on?
When I did, it was for Xbox One.
Ah, the Xbone. The Xbone.
Don't knock it until you tried it.
I don't know.
Once you go X, you can't go back.
I don't know. Anytime I've dealt with my exes, I don't want to go back. And mine don't bad people.
She would have to do me that. She kind of did, but still. unlike some people here on the platform, known as the U of Tubes, I will not do her dirty like that. Double entendre possibly implied.
Ooh, double entendre. But yeah. Like, I am PS5 all the way, but it's A, affording one, and B, finding one at the moment. They're apparently a little bit more accessible, but people are already saying that there should be a PS5 Pro. And I'm like, if they're already saying that and just got the PlayStation, I'm kind of in the air about that. Because I'm like, So, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I just cleaned out my PS4 the other night, and they get dirty. And people don't know this, but when it comes to the PS4, there are 3 security screws on the original model if you got the launch model when it first came out. And all you got to do is open the bottom. You can have access to the fan, blow out the fan, clean out the fan, clean out the area and the exhaust vents. You just snap it back together. It's real easy maintenance. It just usually requires one of those like special like bit screws to get in, little like hex with a little circle in the middle of it. As I give inappropriate hand gestures to describe how it looks. It's like a little star with a little hole in the middle of it, like a butthole. And you gotta have that screwdriver to open it up. But yeah, once you open it up, there's 3 screws and you're done. Yes, you're voiding your warranty cleaning out the fan, but if you've had a launch model PS4 since launch, you're not hurting anything. I have opened mine up further. I don't recommend that everybody else does that, but if you open it up further, make sure you have one of them static shock bracelets so you don't fry your whole system. And outside of that, the only other thing I would recommend is to blow out the whole circuitry and replace thermal paste. Because for some odd reason, I've noticed on modern consoles, be it Xbox or Sony or even Nintendo, they are stingy with thermal paste on their chipsets. So go out and buy yourself a tube and treat yourself to some extra thermal paste because you're going to want to. And it's going to drastically improve not only your performance, but as well as keeping the systems from sounding like they're getting ready to launch into space. Highly recommend it. I do it on my PS4 and my PS3 constantly, and they run like it's brand new. Scared me the other night though, Chris, because I was cleaning out my computer. And I was like, oh, well, I've already got this stripped down for the PS4 and cleaned and put back together. Let me do it for the computer. And so I open up the computer, blow it out, get out the fan, take out the fan, clean out the fan. I clean out the power supply. Again, don't clean out the power supply unless you have some experience in it, because you will, even if you have it completely discharged, there's still a risk of electrical shock. But I opened it up, cleaned all of that out, and I went to fire up the computer, and of course I get the red light and the 5 beeps, and I'm like, oh. So here I am trying to figure out what the Morse code means. Fortunately, it was just that the RAM needed reset, which is as simple as unplugging it, plugging it back in, making sure it's in there tight, and turning the power switch. But there was a mini heart attack for that first half hour. Like, oh no, did I just kill my computer?
Well, to let the folks at home that may be watching or will be watching, prior to setup I got cookies. Basically, before coming on tonight, as always, when I'm using Skype, I run a sound check, just make sure everything's connected, hunky-dory like, and as soon as I run the check and everything else, and I'm running, checking levels for the 3rd time, all of a sudden, blue screened and reboot. I'm like, oh, fuck me. It's like, I never got blue screen before, and today's like the first time. It's like right before the show, too. I was about to send Sasha a message saying, I'm all set, and all of a sudden, blue screen. Fuck.
Yep, it happens. It happens, and fortunately it wasn't a blue screen for me. It was just, I had tore apart, cleaned it out, and fortunately the little RAM sticks were loose. I don't know how they got loose, but maybe it was from me setting it down, maybe it was from me, because on my computer, you can pull where not only the hard drive section are, it accordions out. Same way with like the disk drives and whatnot, it accordions out. And I don't know, maybe I bumped them while I was accordioning everything out. But Took off like 2 seconds to realign the RAM, and I was ready to rock and roll. So, going into another one of our topics here, we touched on Peeps Pepsi, we touched on Ecto Cooler, we touched on the problems of cons in small towns and how San Diego Comic-Con can eat a chode. Don't get me wrong, I'd go to San Diego Comic-Con if I could afford it, but it is what it is. I'd rather go to a small town con because they remind me of conventions that I went to, growing up. Because conventions aren't like they are now, where it's a big ordeal and it's everything. It was, you went to go get rare VHSs, you went to go get rare comics, and it was truly a nerd event. Now it's a status symbol to say you've gone to a convention. And it's like, I was in conventions and enjoying them when I was called a nerd and a loser, when it actually meant that you were a nerd and a loser. You know what I mean? And now y'all think it's cool. How's that work? But anyway, so one of the things I did want to discuss today is, we have a lot, even though we're a small area, and Chris, you can attest to this, like the 4-state is a pretty small area, which is, of course, PA, Maryland, Virginia, and West VA. West by God, as we like to say. But we call that the 4-state in this area because, there's a lot of crossover with everything that's kind of going in. We're not quite D.C., we're not quite Baltimore, we're not quite upstate enough to be New York, but we're our own little thing. So we have filmmakers, we have a lot of interesting culture, not culture, but like arts and entertainment in this area, be it filmmakers.
Yeah, Sasha has learned to enunciate. She says Baltimore. She doesn't say it like the rest of us. Baltimore.
Yeah, but like with these areas, we do have a bit of culture. Like I was just talking about, like Carlisle. Like you could go up to Carlisle, a small college town, but like they still celebrate that geek and obscure culture. Like you got a shop that shows horror movies in the middle of the night. You've got the local theater actually having live punk bands playing. You have bars that put on events not just for your mainstream college fuckos, but for everybody, which is kind of cool. And there is arts and entertainment in the area. And one of the biggest things, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it and understand the sport, but everybody seems to like professional wrestling. And we have our own local wrestling organizations. My buddy Monique Dupree, she helps upstate a good bit with House of Hardcore. Great group of people. In the area, we also have a Kaiju Big Battle on occasion, which is wrestling meets performance art. And then you've got racist fuckos like Revolution Wrestling Federation out toward the Hagerstown, MD area. Particularly a gentleman by the name of Mal Havoc, who basically is not only a wrestler, air quotes, but also a local musician and DJ. Again, got the bunny ears going. And we have several, around town, posts. I talked about this in other podcasts about, what's going on. Chambersburg is the one I frequent. Quite sure there's a what's going on Martinsburg. Quite sure there's a what's going on Waynesboro, Greencastle. Pick a town in the 4-state that's small enough. There's a what's going on Hagerstown, which is fun to watch just for entertainment purposes.
There's also what's going on in Berkeley County too in the area. So I gotta share a post or two in there. I just became a member.
Okay. And what I'm saying is it's a place where people share things. And Chambersburg is a backwards town. It was, I want to say, about 7 years ago, maybe 8, that I started pushing to try to get more representation in the area for LGBTQ people, just in Franklin County. Living in Chambersburg, I pushed for Chambersburg Pride. That was an uphill battle up until me being me and the blunt person I am. You can either let us do it, or you're going to have a protest. We're either going to have a parade or a protest. The choice is up to yours. I don't care either. It's happening. And that finally got the ball rolling, because I found sometimes I got to swing my large testicles around to get things done. And it works. But there's a lot of ignorance in these areas, unfortunately, as well. Chambersburg being a small town, we do have several of the Asian community in my town. And obviously with the recent shooting, those people are still hurting, still mourning. Some of my closest friends are of that community. So I guess one of the local groups was like, hey, we're going to have a candlelight vigilance. And we know it's last minute. I think it was Franklin County Free Press, which is kind of awesome. They basically went into all of the groups saying, this is what we're planning, this is when it is, come out and support the local community. And, of course, the ass clowns proceeded in. They had the little car and all came out with their racist ha-has and laughter and just being the most racist fuckos in the world. Mama Sasha doesn't have that. Mama Sasha screen grabs everything as to who these people are, what they're saying, and where they work. Yeah, me being me, I'm like, I already got all the screen grabs. Here you go, people. These are the people that are laughing. Gee, it'd be awful bad if their employers found out. And me, I'm already emailing employers with the screen grabs, because that's just how I roll. Mal Havoc, of course, wants to hop in and defend the racists. Large white guy defending other large white guy that probably wears camo. Most likely wears camo, has a pocket of chow in a back pocket, and wears those little yellow boots that you can get cheap at Walmart worth steel toes. Yeah, I'm an asshole, but that's pretty much all Franklin County. It's camo, those work boots, and your pocket of chow in the back pocket. Makes me cringe. I've got nothing against hunting, but the word hunt denotes the possibility of failure. Mama doesn't fail. But anyway, that's just how the people are. So he's defending them, claiming that I'm gaslighting them. What else did he say? He said gaslighting and something else, which I thought was fucking hilarious. Oh, slandering them, even though I'm using their own words. And it's like, I don't think you understand what those words mean, Mal. But anyways, he proceeded to message me online and just awful. I looked him up. He has several transphobic posts. Not surprised. Several racist posts. Not surprised. But yet tries to promote himself separate from his business page. And I'm like, do you want to really clear your history on Facebook before you start representing things that are going to get your ass canceled? So I approached the wrestling foundation he works with, as well as several venues that have done events with him that I know of, and said, hey, this guy's a fucko, you need to end a relationship. Most of the businesses were like, yeah, this guy is a fucko, we met him personally, he is a dick, gone, bye, But the wrestling federation that he's a part of, Revolution Wrestling Federation, man, that sounds like World Wrestling Federation, somebody should sue, but neither here nor there. Instead of just saying, hey, yeah, this employee is a problem, which they should have, I get misgendered. Number one, it's Mr. Monroe, not Miss Monroe.
Right. I saw that. When I saw your screen post up, the screen grab, I was like, did they really call Sasha Mr. Monroe?
Yep.
Oh, snap. I wouldn't even go... Sasha, I probably pushed your buttons a time or two in the past.
Yes.
But I would never, that's a line I probably would not have crossed right there.
Right. That's the point where they cease playful banter and just become a-holes at my point. And then to provide me resources with a association that's known to do conversion therapy on gay, trans, LGBTQ people. Conversion therapy kills. Just so be it suicide or through abuse, but it kills people. And that they were praying for me. And I'm like, you got a guy who uses satanic imagery, but you're praying for me. Yeah, y'all can just fuck off. And I let them know, I screen grab everything and I'm putting it out there. And suffice to say, from what I've seen from my friends, they now have a ton of people blocked because they have all spoken out against them for being dicks, as well as Mel Havoc. And I know that there's several venues that will not touch either Mal or their little indie wrestling stuff with a 10-foot pole now. And I will keep doing it and keep pushing, because I'm sorry, but the only intolerance in my body is towards intolerance itself, and I will erase people like that. I've got zero problems with that. I will go at them with extreme prejudice, so to speak. With every right.
I know if I said something stupid, you'd slide into my DMs, and before calling me out publicly, you'd call me out privately in regards to something stupid that I might have said.
It's the same thing that happened with Bobby Peterson and his stupid Ghostbusters, what is it, tri-state, four-state division down in Bunker Hill, West by God. You know, I promoted those guys. I tried to get them involved with conventions and things of that nature to help them out. And then for me to see them post transphobia, it kind of tickles me the wrong way. Because it's like, wait. So the trans girl's perfectly good helping get you guys business. But heaven forbid she exists. And I just thought it was funny because I don't know if you remember those because I still have screen grabs of those. I was like, Bobby, what the fuck? You know, I've helped promote you. I've helped get word out about you. I've helped get word out about not only you, but the now video gaming Ghostbusters that you see around. And y'all gonna talk this shit on me? And they're like, well, it's not about you. I said, number one, I am nobody's token tranny. So don't say it's not about me. Because it's about my people. I'm included. I ain't no Uncle Tom. Or Aunt Tammy.
Right.
And I said, no, that's not cool, that's not right, you need to fix it. Wanted to argue with me. I said, okay, I'll put it out there for all the world to see. And he's still a dick about it, but that's okay, because we now have t-shirts that have his likeness on the Ghostbuster logo that's basically no transphobes. And they sell rather well. I think I sold 3 of them last week. So yay me. And profiting off of hatred. Indirectly.
Yeah, that's what I want to say this. Your model is not. I want to say this from a third-party standpoint is what a lot of folks tend to do, and other folks don't fucking like it.
Yep.
And because I see it on, I think we kind of touched on this last live stream.
Yeah.
Like some of the people that I follow on YouTube. Some of their things that, like I watch a little bit of the YouTuber Star Wars Girl, and if she doesn't like something, she'll put it out there. And she did something. It's like, well, I really don't like this. This, you know, she changed up her drawing. She said, this is how I think it should really look. She got attacked, literally attacked by all the people that, you know, want to. They're not ones that are really fans.
They're not fans.
They just want change for the shit of change.
Mm-hmm.
And they called her out. They called her a dude. They pretty much called her a guy. They called her a neck-bearded asshole.
Mm-hmm.
They called her all this shit. And she said, you know what? Despite all this, I'm making a video. I'm going to profit on your bullshit.
Yep.
And that causes a lot of those types of folks to go even more crazy. It's like, how dare you do? It's like, the more you talk, the more you bullshit,
yep.
the more I'm going to fund, you know, I'm going to use you to fund, you know, make money off, I'm going to make money off of you. So, and we've had this conversation on my show when we talked about the troll, you know, when I was getting trolled, and I approached him, it's like, I'm giving you 2 choices right now.
Yep.
The more you talk shit, this is before I blocked the fucker. The more you talk shit about my show, the more I'm going to lean into the role of the most hated podcaster in the group.
Yep, we'll come at you.
The more I'm going to roll into that. The more I'm going to lean into that. So you can either, A, continue what you're doing, and I'm going to use you
yep.
as a stepping stone to promote my show further, or you can shut the fuck up.
Yep. Why? My philosophy's always been, you've even heard me say this all the time, like, I will literally introduce myself as, oh, I'm that scary trans woman the media warned you about. Because I do like scary things. Best promo in the world. And I always love it, because I don't know if I told you this the other week or not, but, like, yeah, you gotta feed your kid, Mick. No starving kids. They need Godzilla and they need food. These are the 2 most important things. Gender be damned. I don't care. Boys, girls, non-binary. They need Godzilla and they need food. I need to make out a shirt. Your ass needs
In
Godzilla.
fact, I'm eating chicken right now.
Chicken and rice?
Not chicken, mac and cheese, and green beans.
Oh, okay, so you
I'm
didn't get
enjoying all this.
You didn't get the cheeseburger reference. The song? Oh, but there's only one place to go. I'm coming home. Oh, yeah. You never watched Super Jail?
I don't think I did.
All right, you have to look up cheeseburger and Super Jail and look up the video later. And it's an animated music video, and I love the song because it's about this person going back to prison. Because it's all life on the outside ain't what it used to be. Living ain't easy and money don't come for free. But yeah. So that was the chicken and rice reference. See, I get to some obscure humor on occasion. But, like, when it comes to stuff like that, I will take a hater and make them. Because a hater, at the end of the day, is just a confused fan. You know, they're just a confused fan. If they're going to take that time to run their mouth about you, well, obviously they're donating some headspace to it. Why would
That's
donate my
what
own
I told
headspace?
you on the show.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get across to this fucker, the troll that I had, in the one podcasting group, and is that you don't get, that he didn't get, because in regards to promotions, like, the more you hate, you know, you could either A, see what the people are complaining about and change, or B, if it's so outlandish, roll with it and use it, you know, to promote. And my example was when I was living in Florida, there was this adult bookstore that wanted to open up. Their whole gimmick was going to be we're the town's best kept secret, and because it made the paper's front page top section daily for a period of like 3 weeks prior to them opening, they changed their marketing from the town's best kept secret to the town's worst kept secret.
Yep.
And they rolled with it. They kept it like that because what was going on with the paper brought more people to the store to find out what the fuck is going on than any advert can actually bring. So that's why I'd rather roll with.
I lived out in BFE once, and there was an adult bookstore nearby. And in the area, it seemed that wherever there was an adult bookstore, there's always somebody who's got a big old religious sign, you know, before the adult bookstore. So they have a billboard out, and it's like, you know, you're going to hell if you visit these places, blah, 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 blah. And I always thought it was funny because there was just one adult bookstore we lived near, and literally they had a sign immediately after that billboard that said, fuck those guys. At least you're enjoying something for 5 minutes. They'll never will. And I'm like, that's awesome advertising. You know what I mean? Like, they're having, you know, we're having fun now. They're gambling on maybe having fun later. Have you fun now? And I'm like, that was just, whoever their marketing person was a genius. It's like the fact that they would pay to have the next billboard say something like that to conflict with the religious right saying, well, this porn chop's bad. Yeah. But still.
That the pastor's probably going to as well.
Yep, probably. Most likely. They have an investment.
There's that story that went around like on Reddit or Facebook that about, I think I've seen it at least twice over the past year. Don't know about you. About kids at a religious like Saturday or Sunday school or something like that. They got into a kind of this like porn ring, exchanging porn, and they found out this one guy had footage from their pastor having an affair.
Oh yeah, I read that story.
The pastor shot it down. They just like put it out there, and everybody was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, I read that story. Did you see the whole story though? I think I posted it.
Yeah, I think I saw that. That's what I'm making reference to.
Where they were trading the DVDs and everything else, and I'm like,
yeah.
And I went to my friend, Matthew. He's like this huge religious guy, gayer as gay can be, funny as hell. And I'm like, dude, is this what's going on in church for real? I've been missing out on this drama because I need to see it. And he immediately messages me, and he's like, I need to go to that church too. I'm like, I need to go to that church as well. Especially when the kids thought
it was like, where is this shit happening? It's like, that's what kind of made me always wonder. It's like, forget about, seeing the women in bikini and the beer commercials, like, where's, every time I pop open a can of beer or a bottle of beer, it's like, where's my women in, wearing bikinis that are coming with this? But that's not reality. I know that. But it's like when I watch, Maury Povich or, Jerry Springer or, Steve Wilco, it's like, oh, this is happening and this. I'm like, really? This is happening and I hang out places similar to this and this shit is not happening near me? The fuck, man?
Yeah, right?
Where is this shit happening?
I will, if stuff like that happened at a local church near me, I will be there with a cooler. And just waiting. And watching. And waiting. With a fire extinguisher, of course, put myself out the whole time, but still. Yeah. But yeah, like, seeing that the other day just was like, that was awesome. It was a good joke. It was great. It was awesome. But no, like, haters are interesting. Like, haters are just confused fans. Like, you can use a hater more effectively than you can use a fan. Like, look at the YouTube model. We touched on this a little bit the other day. Like, the YouTube model, they still commented, they still made a reaction, whether it be a like or a dislike. That still counts towards your algorithm in the positive. All they've done is wasted their time to help, boost your signal. It's kind of like art, for example, that I explained to somebody the other day. Like, when it comes to art, there is no bad critic when it comes to art. Somebody either likes what you're really doing or really, really hates it, but either way they're talking about it. The only problem with art is when people are indifferent. And that's how it is with, like, anything.
Right.
You can have people that hate on you all day long. Let them hate. And you can highlight that stuff and say, look at this guy. What a complete and utter tool. And the best part of it is when they try to say, oh, that's slander. Honey, that's your words. Are you going to sue yourself? Hell, it's written. That's liable. That's on you, buddy. I'm just giving it a bigger audience. It may not be the audience you want or like, And that was the thing with this whole...
Fun thing is with me with that troll, it was like, oh, you need better SEO, SEO and all that. So what I did was, because my name is on my browsers, or I'm logged into my browsers, so it's really hard for me to actually do a legit check on my show. So I decided, you know what, there is a way I can do a legit check on my show. I can use my local library computers.
Yep.
The cache and everything that, is part of those computers is cleared every time somebody's signed off.
Right.
There's literally no way what I search is logged with those computers.
Right.
So I searched for my show, just, not Long Coat Mafia podcast, but the Long Coat Mafia. On that front page, the first 10, I'm within 2 slots of the top 5.
Yep.
Number 3 and I think it's number 2 and number 4. And out of the top 10, I'm within 5. I'm number 2, number 4, number 6, and number 8, and I think number 9 out of the 10. And they're telling me, folks are telling me, oh, you need better SEO. When I'm within the top 5 and top 10 on the front page, I don't need the fucking SEO. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Yep.
And it's like my Facebook page, iTunes, and Spotify. And if you can't click on that shit, you're too fucking lazy. So.
But yeah, it's one of those things. I just heard back from Shockfest, by the way. They're trying to get me more involved. So, yay.
Which could be a good thing.
Well, it's involving Bill. And that's all I got to say about
And we
that.
kind of had issues with him. The Bill from the other group.
Oh, yes. And I've dealt with him before.
Has sense issues.
I've dealt with him before, but it's like, pretty much, you can accept me at face value or I'll be there guerrilla style. Pick one. Because either way, I'm going to be there. I can be a positive draw or I can be a negative draw. That's like that post I posted the other day. You choose my behavior. Please. Right. Choose. Because at this point, I'm giving you that option. You know?
It's kind of that aspect of when I went with like 4 State.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not there officially at a both booth. I'm there officially. I'm there as a ticket holder. I don't care, and they know that. With the folks at 4 State, they know that I'm going to behave. They might see me and go, "Oh dear God, it's him again," you know. But they know for the most part I'm going to behave. I'm going to be polite.
Well, with
because
me,
if I'm not.
With me, it's a little different because you have to understand, like, I'm family. Because of Elijah, I'm family. You know, because his stepdad runs the con.
Right.
And it's like Sasha's going to be there one way or the other. And we can either have people that respect Sasha and what she does, and she's helping out other booths and helping us out, or we know Sasha's going to talk about it. And again, that's not a threat. They just know that's how I roll. It's like when, for example, going back to the whole Bobby Peterson thing, when they showed up, hey, they're buying tickets, but you let us know that they cause any problems. I said, they're here. They're going to cause problems. That's how they are. I said, I will be nice and smile and wave at them as I sell another Ghostbusters logo with his face on it. Because I give 0 fucks. You know? In fact, I'm waiting for the day that there's a convention where he shows up and I have at least 4 or 5 people running around in their shirts. And that'll make me very happy. You know, just smile and wave. Thanks for helping me promote my show. And you'll never see a dime of it because it's a characterization and a parody. Good luck. I'm protected by parody law. I already looked into it. Ha ha ha. You know? But it is what it is. You know, but they're like, hey, you know, this is Sash. Sash knows what's up. People hate her, dislike her, but we know how she is. You know? In fact, I hate to say it, like, there's a lot of people who love to run their mouth about me. Believe it or not, Andrew and John are my biggest defenders. Because they're like, Sasha's the type of person who, there is no shit unless you start shit. You decide her behavior. If you feel that she's treated you poorly, what the hell did you do? And if you don't know, you need to figure that out. And even you know this, you know, because I'm the type of person who will drag you aside and say, hey, this is what the issue is. And you and I will have an actual diatribe, you know. And, you know, we can disagree and agree on many of things, but what's my big rule? As long as our disagreement isn't based on my or my people's right to exist or human rights, we're perfectly fine. And it's never come to that.
Right. A lot of times it's like when we have disagreements, it's a topic on hand,
mm-hmm.
and it's not like, and you know dang well, it's like, I'm not going to go against, like, dude, in regards to trans existing or not, or anything like that. It might be a point for point, but not like, hey, you have a right to exist, you have the right to be happy and do what you need to do. And it's just, you know, an argument or a discussion, not so much an argument. Argument means, you know, maybe a shouting match. You know, we might have a discussion at most in regards to point for point, and like, okay, explain to me, or, you know, how is this different from this? And there might be disagreements on different points, and you might have a valid point, I might have a valid point, and we'll walk away, disagreeing wildly about a subject, but we're always going to come back. You're going to have me on your show again, or I'm going to have you on the show again.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just, you as I said before, it's like, not just to you, it's like, you got to have that aspect of a difference of opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you can't respect that, then what's the point? You know,
Exactly.
It'd
be boring if we all looked at things the same. It would be boring. Like, if I had to deal with 100 Sashas, I'm sorry, I'm going into Highlander mode. There can only be one. Sorry, not sorry. You know, I don't want to exist in a world where everybody's like me. Oh my god, that would suck. Because there can only be one. But the point of it is that the world would be boring if we were all the same. But it comes back to the whole respect thing. You know, you got to respect each other's existence. It brings me to the whole, like, Conan thing, where you have the one wizard guy talking with Conan about the gods he prays to. And yeah, it's a little bit of a pissing contest, but they come away from it not hating each other and killing each other, but with a different understanding of each other. And you know the scene I'm talking about, where what gods do you pray to? And they...
Yeah, I think I know the scene. It's been a while. I gotta watch Conan again.
But you know what I'm talking about. It's just these two people exchanging ideas, and yeah, they're not going to see eye to eye, but they respect each other's existence. Conan didn't just slice him in half. You know what I mean? They respect that the other exists. Right. And a lot of times, a lot of disagreements, like the one I'm having with this wrestling federation at the moment, is that I exist, and God forbid I question one of their wrestlers. And yes, pray for me when Mao...
I don't think it's with the wizard that you're... if I remember correctly, I don't think it's the wizard that you're talking about. I think it's earlier in the movie when he's talking to the other... I want to say barbarian, but he is of Asian descent. They're around the fire talking about their gods, and it's like, who do you pray for? Oh, I pray Crummies, like of the mountains and of the ground. And the Asian guy says, "Oh, my god's this. He rules over your god. He's of the sky, and the sky covers everything." And it wasn't a pissing match. It was just a discussion of gods, and there was no, "I'm going to stab you with a sword now because I don't like what you worship." But it was still, a great scene. They were still friends at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who says you can't get good stuff from pop culture?
Right.
And that to me is the biggest message. Have difference of opinions, but respect each other's existence. And this is another thing I want to point out, and I'm not trying to call anybody out or anything of that nature that may or may not be in the chat. But sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we either align ourselves with somebody that's problematic, or we make a mistake and become problematic ourselves. Even if that issue might be BS. Let me put that subclause to the side. The biggest takeaway I can give to anybody is, if you realize that it is problematic, be it with you or a person or what have you that's involved with whatever you're doing, and you realize that, yes, this might be problematic or an issue, regardless of what party's right or wrong, take that information, learn from it, grow from it, but don't quit. Approach, if it's somebody else that you're involved with that's an issue, and yes, it feels like I'm preaching to someone directly, and I am, and they know who they are. Don't quit, but approach that person and say to them, "Hey, here's what's up. These are the steps that we need to take to make this better so we can move forward." And take time before you have to do it. By all means, yes, please take time. But approach that person and see if they want to grow and learn from it. If they do, awesome. If they don't, oh well. But you take the time as well to learn and grow from it. But don't quit. If you feel that you have something good and you have a good idea, regardless of how many people are involved with that idea, even if it gets pared back to just yourself, fuck it. Do it yourself. You have friends, you have allies. I'll help you. But don't quit. Don't give up. There's value there. Just saying. Learn from it, move on, be bigger and badder. Address the problem. Either with that person or personally, or clean house and just do it yourself, but still address the problem and move on. Don't quit. Because as I've said before, everybody fights, nobody quits. You quit, I'll shoot you myself. And I don't waste good soldiers or ammo. Legit. But I got your back.
I think that's what a few people don't get in regards to, at least the one person I had to deal with at one point, I don't think he got, is that, you know, it's like, well, you'll never get these people without me. It's like, I don't care, you know. It's like, if I get them, I get them. If not, no problem. I'll find somebody else, you know. I know great people, and I told you, and it's like, I know great people that have done more for me and my show and gave me way better leads than, you know, other people. It's like, I'd rather stick with them as part of my group because they, you know, and promote them because they've done more for my show. It's like, I don't have to worry. It's like, I'd rather, like, if I walked away professionally, I'd still put them in a good light, you know, because of what they've done in the past. The respect will still be there. We might have disagreements, you know, we might have stepped away as friends, but I'm not, I don't want to keep names out of it, you know, for the moment, but the aspect is like, yeah, there are people that looked out for me, and it's like, and to tell the truth, if those people that gave me shout outs and, you know, helped me along the way, you know, somehow we had disagreement, and like, let's say you and I had a disagreement, we walked away, I'd say, you know, I wouldn't be burning the bridge, you know, saying, screw Sasha, this, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a disagreement, you know, we're not really on professional terms, but she helped me out in the past, you know, there's no hard feelings right then and there. There'd still be that level of respect.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you can still have that level of respect and step away. There are sometimes things that are unredeemable also, and you need to know when to sever ties, but don't quit what you're doing. And yes, that person indirectly, and I know you're watching, what you're doing has value. And I'm not saying that the person that has brought the issue to light is correct in their philosophy, because they're not. They're pissed because the horror community sucks and has been very cis-het mask for the longest time. And I'm sorry that you're cis-het and mask. And so she's lashing out at everybody. Has nothing to do with you. And I can tell you that as somebody of the community, has nothing to do with you. Has everything to do with the system. It's just circumstance that you meet those criteria, and it sucks. But you know what the problem is now, and you can move on from it and learn from it and grow. But don't quit. Because I'm going to call you out. Don't quit. You quit, I'm going to come at you hard. Because I love you. Mama Sasha loves you. And let's just put it that way. You're bigger than this. You're better than this. If you got to cut ties with people, cut ties with them. And I'm not saying that person is right. Trust me, I'm very tempted to address said person, myself, that's been causing problems on Twitter. Because her methods of going about it is wrong. I have been known to launch tactical nukes, but at least make sure that the area is somewhat clear of civilians, because I don't like city casualties. She's not. She's hitting anybody that she can and lashing out.
As like stated earlier when I was talking about, we were talking about the small shows, it's like I had to at least let, you know, in regards to what was going on, that way, if I called an audible, there would be it would concern him a little bit, and I didn't want any hard feelings from him. So that's why it's like I put him in the loop a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, that way it's like, this is what I'm going to do. This is why. Yeah, I don't want any bad blood between us. I respect you, this, that, and other thing. But if this goes down and I have to, bring, remove Sasha from the situation because part of the plan, it does involve you, or, asking you to be a part of it. And if it does happen, I don't want to involve, risk any friendship, that I might have or respect with George, you, or anybody else. It's like I want to minimize that as much as possible. And I felt George would be the most affected. And it's like, listen, I'm bringing this to your attention that I don't want to, ruin what you're doing and what you're trying to do at this event.
Mm-hmm.
And he completely understood. It's like, yeah, but there are going to be other people there that can help me out and take care of everything in regards to it. And he's like, I do appreciate you letting me know. It's like, it's not meant to dig you, but I see that there might be you're one of the affecting it most, or being closer to the center, and I don't want bad blood. I don't want anything bad. It's just like that, because of that level of respect. It's like some people might see it as other aspects. Like, no, I've met George. I like George. I'd rather have that level of respect from him and not be as, see him, or at least, I don't want him to be treated as the quote-unquote token Asian guy in my relationship. I'd rather him be my friend and seeing him as an equal. I'd rather him as my friend. And, like, what I'm trying to say, folks, is, like, I don't want people to see him as my token Asian friend. No, he's not. He's my friend, period.
He's your friend.
I don't care if he's Asian. Yeah.
It's like I was explaining the other day to the Main Street Waynesboro people, and about me having the snap that I had when people were being gaslit, and they were. People being tone policed, and they were. And you can admit, you can honestly say that they were being tone policed, and they were being gaslit, and I don't like that shit. And I look at my crew, be it you, Chris, be it George, be it anybody. My crew is my family. And is there anything that you would not do for your family?
Right. There's folks that especially with the troll incident that happened with me. It's like they're like, well, the first thing he brought up was like, oh, you're such a istinophobe and this, that, and the other thing. Your show's all about hate. I'm like, whoa, fucking hold up, man. It's like, you haven't even checked out anything in regards to my show, in regards to social media, what I do and how I do it. Sit the fuck down. And, I go to that level. It's one of the things I had to learn. It's like, I'll go to that level and defend everybody that's been on my show and why I've had them on my show. And it's like, you don't know the guy, but I love Earl to be on my show. He's got that bass voice that people just like want to listen to him. It's like, yeah, I want him back on the show because not just that, he's a fan favorite. He's a great conversation and a fan favorite. Well, do I want Monique Dupree back on the show? Yes, I would love to have her back on the show. And it's not because, they're people of color. It's because they're a great conversation and they're great people. Is it because, plus I wanted them to be on the show. I wanted them to be represented on the show. They're not tokens. I feel that they deserve to be a part of my show. And I welcome them. That's why they're on my show. I don't token anybody. I don't want tokens. I want them to shine. I look for the diversity. I want them to be a part of it. They're not a box to be checked off. And I'll defend you. I'll defend, any guests that I have on. And one of the stories I've told in the past is that I've tried, when I go to shows, I try to get panels. I'll go around to the panelists asking permission to record their panel. If they say no, fine, be that as way. But if you turn out to be an asshole later, I'll talk to my friends and this is why, they should have said yes. Because I had that at an event once. They said no, then they came up and him and Hod oh, you can only record 15 minutes. Then they started bitching during their panel. Nobody's listening to our panel. Why don't y'all just talking amongst yourselves? Why don't you, this, that, and the other thing? Why don't you all just shut up and listen? I told my, Big Candy, well, if they said yes to us recording, they could have just kept on talking, doing their panel, and every now and again saying, hey, see those guys in the corner? They're recording this panel. If you can't hear us, they'll be posting it. See them for information. And they were all stuck up because they were just a woman's panel. The reason I ask is I want your conversation. I want to raise your voice amongst your peers to be even though you're an equal, I want you have equal time on my show like they do.
Right.
They all have. And they didn't get it. They just acted all snotty no, we don't want to. Because of reasons. And also say, there was this one other person, at least Big Candy being my wingman for the show at times, he went around asking one of the folks, he said, listen, what I say and what I do at for my panel, I have reservations in regards to you recording it due to copyright and X, Y, and Z. He said, but he offered up, would you mind doing an interview? And he said, I'll do, Big Candy was let me check with, my buddy, the guy in charge of everything, and we'll go from there. And my deal was you know what? That's a good deal. I could respect that deal. Telling me no, but telling me yes for an interview still gets your voice out there. Still gets it out there. I'll be more than happy for that. I don't care. That's a good trade-off.
Exactly. And like I was saying earlier, bad press is still press. You know what I mean? Going back to trolls. Trolls are trolls.
Hold on. Let me be a tool for a second. That's a can of G Fuel.
I thought you popped in something more serious. Are you able to drink that now? I mean, I don't mean.
I'm able to get something more serious. I can't.
I don't
I
mean.
have to, one of these days, do pick up a bottle of rum or something like that.
But I don't mean to call you out, but I thought G Fuel had a lot of sugar and whatnot.
No, the cans I've been getting at Sheetz, 0 sugar.
Huh. How's it taste?
So that's why I've been, the flavor, let me say this. Sheetz doesn't have the rainbow sherbet, which I think is awesome, by the way. And it actually tastes like rainbow sherbet. But right now I'm drinking a can of, what's the flavor? Sour Chug Bug. And it's based on Phase Rug.
Mm-hmm.
And Phase Rug has a pretty good YouTube channel. A lot of it's very fun. Hey, let's do these like a food challenge, or we're going to be in a ball pit for 24 hours. Let's see, last one out wins $1,000 or something like that. It's always quirky content and vlogs. Nothing really outlandish. So it's hard to place the taste of Sour Chug Rug, but it has one of those sweet and sour candy type of ordeals. Hard to place the flavor, but it's pretty good.
Okay.
But my favorite is the rainbow sherbet.
Awesome.
And it doesn't have. It's mostly B vitamins, it's got potassium, 4% potassium, 25% niacin, vitamin B12, vitamin C, and B6. I don't see any of the taurine and all that fun jazz. It's mostly just B and C vitamins and potassium. So it doesn't affect my sugar levels at all.
So I gotta ask.
I'll drink it.
Because back when I first started drinking back in the day, I was big on energy drinks. And, depending on what B vitamins were in the drink, they made me blush heavily. And it was so funny because I went out on a New Year's Eve night just to go. We had this bar in Chambersburg called Dilly's. It's now a church now, which I think is freaking hilarious. To think of all the sin that happened there. But it's now a church, and it was actually owned by family members.
Isn't a bar a form of church anyway?
Well, if it's Catholic, possibly. But, I used to drink, there, and I would do energy shots all the time. And, anything with B vitamins or niacin make me blush. And it was so funny because the night comes out and it's a slow night at the bar, which is weird because, again, New Year's, you figure it should be a busy night at the bar. And this person, just to have conversation or whatever, and to talk to somebody, so I'm there by myself and they're there by themselves and it's pretty empty. They thought I was flirting with them the whole night because I was blushing. And I'm like, I'm not flirting with you. I'm sorry, but I'm not. But you're so red in the face, and it's because of all the B vitamins and niacin, and I showed them all the energy shots I had that night. So I just worked a long night, and it's New Year's. And I'm just trying to stay awake. I said, I don't mean any offense because you're very attractive, and you've got these... They had a tattoo that was across her chest that was like these two bluebirds singing at each other. And they were quite beautiful, and maybe I looked, but it had nothing to do with that, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I assure you it's not like that. And it was funny because they had just broken their arm that night and were having a shitty New Year's. And I was having a shitty New Year's. And it was hilarious because I got to go over to their place, hang out with their dog, get drunk, watch bad movies, and just have an all-around good night with this person I didn't even know. And it was awesome. And no, it wasn't sexual or anything of that nature. Just two people, didn't have any plans for New Year's, hanging out at a shitty bar, having a good night, and I wish I knew what happened to them because they were cool people. No, I wasn't. They're like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm sorry, but no. You're selling a cat to a dog person. Yeah. Funny times. But anyways, it just reminded me of that whole story. Sorry about that. So, one of the things I talked about in, of course, the thumbnail I created was Godzilla vs. Kong. Have you seen the foreign trailers yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. How much of a spoiler do you want?
I don't care.
Okay.
Unless I'm twisting George's arm for his password, I probably won't be catching it for a while.
Okay.
Or if I don't walk up to the theater and go see it there.
Okay. So, let me put it to you this way. The Chinese and Japanese trailers hint at Mechazilla. So, Mechagodzilla. My bet is the reason why Kong and Godzilla are fighting this go-round. And I could be absolutely wrong. But you remember how Mechagodzilla was introduced in the original Mechagodzilla movie, right, from 1974?
It's been a long while. I think I have it on that Voodoo, though.
Okay. So, Mechagodzilla, I'm talking about 1974 Mechagodzilla, the one that's got all the rivets and very retro looking. He's introduced wearing a faux Godzilla suit, meaning he's covered in Godzilla skin.
Yeah, I saw, what was I watching? Like Film Comics Explained or some shit like that. And they were talking about Godzilla, or they were talking about Mega Godzilla or something like that, or Mecha Godzilla, and they were talking about the history of the Mecha Godzilla, like throughout the years and the different versions of it. Nothing wrong with film comics to explain. They tend to do a good job, I think.
This is my thought. That all the shit that started between Godzilla and Kong is started by Mecha Godzilla wearing a faux suit.
In this movie, yeah. I will say, in this movie, yes. But there's another theory going around.
Mm-hmm.
Do you wish to hear it?
Yeah, go ahead.
The theory is that, as we know in Godzilla, King of Monsters, the last movie that was just out, Godzilla does this call which draws in all the major monsters across the world.
Right.
The theory it proposes is, for the most part, Kong wants just to exist. He just wants to relax and do his thing.
Hey, he doesn't want to fight.
He has a major beat. He doesn't want to fight. His major thing is to protect the people on the island and keep the creatures that live underneath the island at bay. And what Godzilla did was pretty much wake up every fucking creature underneath this island and caused havoc. Kong's pissed because of what Godzilla did.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one particular theory, and they didn't really mention how Kong is going to, either Godzilla coming to the island or Kong going to where Godzilla is. That no one really said how that's going to, happen.